Well, in January, that 9-minute video of Tom Cruise showed up on the Internet. And it proliferated all over the place, and the church went after it like crazy, trying to shut down websites that were showing that video, which is that's their nature. They hate Internet freedom, and they try to shut it down whenever they can. Well, Gawker, which first broke the video, we all owe them a debt of gratitude. They have kept it up and kept brave and kept that Tom Cruise video up. Well, a whole movement of young people, college-age kids around the country who, the kids, the people that are 20 today have grown up on the Internet, right? And the idea of somebody trying to censor the Internet is so offensive to them that they saw that Scientology was the enemy. And they just went after Scientology. And at first, they did it in the worst way, right? They called in bomb threats. They tried to shut down Scientology websites. They just went about it all wrong. Well, some of the wiser, older Scientology activists, in particular, a man in Los Angeles named Mark Bunker, who made a simple video, put it on YouTube, just talking into the camera, saying, "Listen, you're going about this all wrong. Join us. Do this peacefully. Do this the Gandhi way." And then overnight, Anonymous became this massive worldwide protest movement of young people all through the Internet. And in February, they held worldwide protests. In March, they held worldwide protests. They show up in those Guy Fawkes masks, and they're all over the Internet. And it's really fascinating. It really feels like we're in a moment now where Scientology is really reaching a point where it's facing more opposition than it ever has. But when Jason Begay comes out, Jason's not the biggest star, but he's really well spoken. He's really real. He's very interesting. He's their worst nightmare.
Usually they strike back pretty hard. I mean, are they after him?
Well, I think there's been some initial video sort of attack back, but it was kind of weak. I don't know. I've talked to Jason about that. I said, are you concerned about your career? And he isn't. He just feels like he went into Scientology with an open mind. He wanted just to experience it and get a little adventure, and it didn't work for him, and he's angry, and he's come out, and now he's like, well, I'm just going to do the next phase of my life. He's really one of the most admirable people I've met, and I think that he's just not afraid. And I don't know that it'll affect his career. Definitely there are people in Scientology who there are definitely actors and other people in Scientology that help each other get roles in Hollywood, but I don't think they can prevent somebody from Jason continuing his career, and overnight he's more famous than he's ever been. So that can't be bad.
All right. What about this idea that they do this monitoring and that they have files on all these people in their personal lives?
Well, we've always known they have these files. In fact, they're called PC files. And when you go into this organization, they tell you that if you follow this talking cure of Hubbard's, it'll release your mind and all this advance in your life. So what they want you to do is sit down and talk about all the worst things in your life, all the bad things that you've done in life. And of course, they're scribbling away, right?
Yeah.
They're making notes of all the stuff you're admitting to, and they put it in what's called your PC file. And it's supposed to help you, get past these things. It's supposed to be confidential. Well, we've always heard stories that stars then feel that they can't leave because then the contents of their file will be made public. That's the thing that we've always heard. But Jason's the first one that says, look, I've seen them setting up secret cameras. I know they're taping every one of those things, and they've got all this dirt. And he says, Jason is saying that employees all over Scientology gossip about these stars behind their backs. That's new, and that's really some of the stuff that was getting the most attention this week, was Jason making the claim that every auditing session at the Celebrity Center is secretly taped. Now, that's a bold statement because that's illegal, and I don't know, what's going to come from that.
Who gets the majority of the money out of this?
Well, it's a wealthy organization. They own a lot of land. They just bought. I read recently that they've been buying a lot of land in Africa. Because they've been under a lot of heat in Europe and the United States, and I think they're trying to find areas where people don't really know as much about them. They buy a lot of land. They don't pay any taxes. So, these are very wealthy organizations, but they exaggerate how many people are in the organization. They like to throw around this number that there's 6 million Scientologists around the world. But in a video deposition in a lawsuit, the president of Scientology admitted that number only represents the total number of people who have ever taken a Scientology course since 1954. So the real estimate of how many Scientologists are around the world is more like in the hundreds of thousands.
But who's getting all the money? I mean, did the people at the top of Scientology make these whopper salaries?
You know, I've never heard about salaries. I mean, salaries don't really mean anything when you're a top-level Scientologist and you're living in a Scientology house. I mean, I don't know that, you know, somebody like David Miscavige has a life outside of Scientology. He just has, you know, they have celebrity centers in every city. They have boats and planes. They can go wherever they want. So just the organization itself, I think, is very rich. I don't think the individuals necessarily are taking this money away. And that's something, it's tough to get that kind of information. Frankly, I don't know. I
wish they would just give me an e-meter.
An e-meter is going to cost you about $4,000, man.
Well, why don't they just give me one for free? I mean, I need an e-meter, baby.
I mean, $4,000. And Jason was saying between, you know, they have these famous levels, OT3, OT4. OT3 is when you first learn about Xenu and the aliens in your body, and then OT4 and OT5. Between OT4 and OT5, he had to do something called the L rundowns that cost $160,000 all by themselves. Can you imagine? It's a Catholic church.
Geez.
It's the Catholic Church or the Baptist Church wanted that for a little spiritual enlightenment.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it would be. Tony, thank you. This is
good.
And I know you're going to do more on this, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, so keep in touch with us because I'd like to see how all of this develops.
Yeah, well, it's really going to be interesting because, like I said, Jason Big A is not the biggest star, but he may be Scientology's biggest headache.
So we'll just contact you at the Village Voice.
Sure, give me a call.
Yeah, we got to check in with you. And if you run into a spare one of those e-meters, man, can you mail it to me?
You got it.
Thank you, Tony.
All righty.
All right, there's Tony Ortega. Scientology busted. Yeah, I knew it was a racket. All right, let's go into open phones. 303-713-7600. Here are your choices. Anything you want to talk about. You can talk about Scientology. You can talk about anything. I don't really care what it is, because that's what open phones is all about. So it's your chance to get on and get with it. Let's go to Stephen in Westminster. Stephen, you're on AM760. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jade. Steve.
Hey, man.
Westminster. Got a couple things about a couple items that were on this morning. First, about the Scientology, I got a little vignette. I was a telephone repairman in the 70s in Los Angeles, and I actually entered into one of their celebrity centers to repair a phone, and I survived. Because when I walked in there, it was a sterile zombie environment, and when I went to go fix their phone, they had people accompany me every step of the way, in and out. And all I recall is that when I got out of there, I said, oh, my God, this is really freaky. So I actually saw what it looked like, and this was, back in the 70s when it was really, I think Los Angeles was probably one of the main centers at that time where it was really building, but
yeah,
it was really bizarre going into one of those centers.
Yeah, I think it's that in Clearwater, and I don't understand, really, for the life of me, how anybody could follow anything where they would charge you for it, number one, and then number two, where the guy who comes up with it is like a science fiction writer.